The committee study of the Central Intelligence Agency Detention and Interrogation Program is a report compiled by the bipartisan United States Senate Select Committee on Intelligence about the Central Intelligence Agency's Detention and Interrogation Program and its use of torture during interrogation in U.S. government bulletins on detainees in CIA custody. The more than 6,700-page report, including 38,000 footnotes, details the history of the CIA's Detention and Interrogation Program and the committee's 20 findings and conclusions. On December 9th, 2014, the SSCI released a 525-page portion that consisted of key findings and an executive summary of the full report. It took more than 5 years to complete. The full unredacted report remains classified. Today's summary: despite recommendations from CIA attorneys, the CIA fails to adequately screen potential interrogators. On November 2002, after the completion of the first formal training class, CTC legal, ex-CTC attorney, to make it known that from now on, CTC LGL must vet all personnel who are enrolled in, observing or teaching or otherwise associated with the class. Moreover, we will be forced to disapprove the participation of specific personnel in the use of enhanced interrogation techniques unless we have ourselves vetted them and are satisfied with their qualifications and suitability for what are clearly unusual measures that are lawful only when practiced correctly by personnel whose records clearly demonstrate their sustainability for that role. The vetting process will not be that dissimilar from the checks that are provided by the OIG, OS, etc. In certain cases, before individuals are promoted or receive awards, and the selection and training of aggressive interrogators certainly warrants a similar vetting process. Chief of CTC, Jose Rodriguez, objected to this approach, stating, "Do not think that CTC LGL should be or would want to get into the business of vetting participants, observers, instructors, or others that are involved in the program. It is simply not your job. Your job is to tell all what are the acceptable legal standards for conducting interrogations that the authorities obtained from justice and agreed upon by the White House." Contrary to statements later made by CIA Director Michael Hayden and other CIA officials that all those involved in the question of detainees were carefully chosen and screened for demonstrated professional judgment and maturity. CIA records suggest that the vetting sought by did not take place. The committee reviewed CIA records relating to several CIA officers and contractors involved in the CIA's detention and interrogation program, most of whom conducted interrogations. The committee identified a number of personnel whose backgrounds include notable derogatory information calling into question their eligibility for employment, their access to classified information, and their participation in CIA interrogation of activities. In nearly all cases, the derogatory information was known to the CIA prior to the assignment of the CIA's officers to the detention interrogation program. This group of officers included individuals who, among other issues, had engaged in inappropriate detainee interrogations, had workplace anger management issues, and had repeatedly admitted to sexual assault.
Time now for a look through the global headlines we're following this Wednesday morning here in Seoul. For that, we turn to Eunice Kim, standing by at the news center. Good morning, Eunice.
And good morning to you, Mark. A controversial report on a post-9/11 CIA program is rocking Washington after it was released by the Senate Intelligence Committee on Tuesday. The 500-page summary of the committee's full report reflected a 5-year investigation on the program known as rendition, detention, and interrogation during the George W. Bush administration. It said the techniques used on al-Qaeda captives and other terror suspects in secret detention facilities in multiple countries were far more brutal than the CIA had led the public, lawmakers, or the White House to believe. Methods that included weeks of sleep deprivation and exposure to cold. The Senate report said the interrogation techniques, which were ended when Barack Obama came to the presidency, went beyond legal boundaries and were ineffective in stopping a single plot. But outraged critics of the report argued it was flat out wrong and that the controversial program was helpful, including in finding and killing al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. Ahead of the summary's release, security was boosted at U.S. embassies and other facilities around the world in preparation for any retaliation.